What's up? What's up?
Hello, 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 and welcome to another One Lion of Code. I am One Lion, and today we are going to hopefully be having some fun with the financial management tracking application. We are getting really close, really close. Apocalypse is here, Dukasoft is here, and Good Feet J was first today. Congratulations on the title of being first in stream, first to chat. Checking on my emails. Boy. Of course, I'm out of breath because I just ran upstairs to refill my bottle of water so that I can have 2 full bottles of water for the stream. I need to get stuff opened up. And Zulius, thank you so extremely very much for the subscription. You guys know you don't have to, but I absolutely appreciate it when you do. It just tells me that you enjoy being here. When you're able to make it here, please don't do it out of obligation. That would be the worst. I would feel so bad. Yeah, no. But doing it because you are you, I really super duper appreciate. Happy Monday to you too, Dukasoft. Water. That's exactly how I say it. In. Okay, application is loading, so I will take you guys to this screen like a magic. I need some stuff to put up there at the top. Today, in that top little section, I really don't want to be controversial, but again, I'm using these things, I'm using AI driven technology for inspiration, and I just want to keep stressing how amazing it's going to be when we have really good AI to help guide our creativity. As long as we don't fall into the trap of just letting the AI be the only thing that does the creating and we don't do anything with it, then I think we should be good to go. But the thing that I'm going to put up there for today, and maybe I'll just have it be a scrolling thing of AI generated images that I don't really want to use, but I thought were really cool. It's pre-Google even. Julius is saying, I had a few rough months on the edge of losing my apartment, but things are moving up again. Starting a new job on Wednesday. Only downside is PHP. Oh no. Glad to know that you're getting a new job, though. Okay, so just to drive a point, I guess, I'm going to put this image that I don't like that was generated. Actually, this entire folder. I mean, I'll still use it as inspiration, but and Good VJ was asking, are you using Laravel? And he's like, Symphony. Because, you know, we got to spell it the cool way. AI gen image. I wonder if there's a way to make a slideshow of images. Okay, let's do this little guy. Except he's a big guy. Just something to fill the gap up there. So AI generated that. Whatever. Just move it behind the Twitch stuff. It ended up being inside of the Twitch stuff. But whatever. It's up there. Hopefully he doesn't poop. Or she. Or Z. It's a robot. They're genderless. Most of the time. Anyway. Does that work? That works for me. Does it work for you guys? That's going to be up there, just so I can have something in that empty space. Okay. When last we spoke, we were working on, and you can't hurt their feelings. At least that we know of so far. We were on the verge of finishing the update method. I can't exactly remember how far we got because halfway through the call we had Thindle join us on the Discords. for Community Day, which was a lot of fun. We talked about some .NET 8 stuff. We talked about his project and how it's going. And hopefully it is going well. So Zulius is continuing with, I've worked with Symphony before, even at that very team. It's the same small startup that opened the doors into a software dev career for me in 2018. Old boss messaged me out of nowhere, hey, we could use some help, you free. Well, that's cool. That's already showing that you're able to use your connections. What is up with my... Do I really sound like this today? It's such a weird... My throat is struggling to get words out. It's like I have to force it to come out and it's stuck way back here. I think it's because I was yelling at my work product all day, like almost literally yelling at it. It's WPF, man. We need a richer, like if we're going to, if WPF is going to be a prominent desktop development thing, including Maui, like, Blazor applications that are using Maui for presentation, there needs to be a better debugging experience. There's some errors that I was getting along the lines of the I can't remember what the actual error was now. Control Shift T. Member names can't be the same as their enclosing type. And I didn't realize that there was a name property that was being set on one of the WPF windows. So I can show you in the Blazor or in the Maui Hybrid real quick what I'm talking about. So if you wanted to, you could have a name property get set, and this allows you to manipulate this object in the code behind. And if I called this main page, there is no name on content page apparently. But if this was a window, you could put a name property on it. I guess this would be an attribute that gets turned into a property or is associated with a property or whatever. Anyway, because this name is the same as the class, and this becomes a property, this becomes a variable inside of the class, then that's where the error is happening. However, the error isn't really all that descriptive. And if you Google for this issue, then you'll see a whole bunch of stuff that just has to do with C# classes and property names and method names and stuff. You can't have a method name be the same as your containing class. You can't have a property be the same as your containing class. And that makes sense, but I didn't think to check here for that type of issue. And then there were just a bunch of other ones that are like, you can't have a name property on this thing because I'm inheriting from window to extend it. Excuse me. And so that had a bunch of issues and oh my gosh. But the point is that now, if everything went well, as soon as I finish typing this thing in my work product real quick, X colon, inherit from this. Actually, I am going to finish this because I was in the middle of making a pretty massive change that is potentially going to break the app. Oh, continue editing. Let me stop the app from running. But I'm still working on the whole applying the application theme to the rest of the WPF windows. It's so easy to do with the Blazor UI portion of it, but when it comes to manipulating the Blazor window or the WPF window itself, such as the title bar, minimize, maximize, close, restore, and getting their colors to adopt the color theme that the Blazor UI is using has proven to be really difficult. But I ended up getting it to work. And yes, I'm still talking about that because I'm still working on it. If you were here on Friday, I was talking about it then. And I think if you were here on Wednesday, I was also talking about it because I was working on the proof of concept on Wednesday. Okay. You don't have a name property. You don't have a name property. I got rid of the base. Yes. Okay. You need to get rid of that. You need to get rid of that. Notification windows? What are notification windows? Anyway, while I'm doing this, feel free to chat if you are in the mood for chatting. Feel free to move about the cabin. This is going to take me just a couple more seconds. And those of you at home watching in the future, feel free to fast forward to, I'm going to say maybe another 40 seconds from now. Need to do that. Do the that thing. Themed window. Themed window. You need to be. Oh man, this is going to take a little bit longer than 40 seconds. Feels like, because I have to do this one. X colon. Make you extend themed window. Nope. Like this. Just one more form. Pasta, X colon, extend themed window. Constructor calls base constructor. Save. Will it build? Don't know. Point is, I got it all moved over. There's just some cleanup to do with that. Remove some, it did build. Remove some unused variables now that I've cleaned up a lot of that. Moved it up into a base class, and a whole bunch of windows are now inheriting from the same base class that has the same method for switching the window theme. And just a couple of styles that need to be updated. Maximize works, close works. Sub windows also get that. Couple of theme styles. Yes. Okay, I'm going to drop that for now, and I will get back to it. So let's figure out where we finished off. Find out what code is currently working. Digasoft says, I wrote a PHP function to insert some HTML today. I feel dirty. Raw HTML string kind of stuff? Or is there a PHP way to create HTML elements in a programmatic way rather than just raw string? Like I imagine the way that jQuery does it, where you use the $ syntax to open up a div tag and then you do .content or something. Okay, I think we were working on this pending stuff. So if I change the pending, and I click, oh, I I didn't have this open. And I click OK, then we can see that I have marked this thing as having a posted date of 1/16/2023. And if I refresh, it does not persist. Okay, so that means that there's still an issue with saving a new date, which if we inspect, we'll see that an error occurred. And then if we take a look at the actual error, an error occurred while trying to save the deposit. But yeah, it has to do with the account ID, target account ID. Okay, so in a transfer, we have a target account and it's probably not getting updated to the existing target account ID. So if we look at what was sent as part of the request, we'll see target account value text is null. And we need that to be the ID of the target account. So that's not getting populated during the query for a transfer. That's my guess. So if we go into our transaction service, and our getter, to view model, and our to view model for transfers does not give us the target account value text. And I think if we just make that change, that should be good enough to at least populate the target account value text. Are you going to refresh? You rebuilt. It didn't refresh. So it did a root edit and a full rebuild, and I was expecting the application to refresh itself. All right, 0116. I'm glad I chose this record because if the other ones work, I wouldn't have known that transfers are broken. Okay, so this time we do have a target account value text. And our response says it was successful, which means if we refresh, and we will still have our pending. And if we remove the pending, success, which means that we've marked this record as pending, or removed the posted date, then we mark this record as pending. Success. Do we have any deposits? Regular paycheck. So let's say that posted on the same day that the transaction date occurred. Ooh, it's posted and shared any. I will go there. Deposits, validation errors. Posted date is required. No, transaction date. Oh, we can't have a posted date on the same date as the transaction date. That's stupid. I need to fix that validation. All right, let's go take a look at the beautiful PHP that Dukasoft is contributing. I can almost read this. So this actually looks like, I don't know what this syntax is other than maybe it's just output. Kind of like the, oh, it's like the at @ sign for us. It doesn't look that ugly. So this translates directly, except for this add action thing down here, this translates directly to what we would do in Blazor. So this function page logo would essentially just be code, I think, private bool show logo, maybe. That's core PHP. And then we have a private void, what was this called? Show login page logo. Yeah. I'm using the naming convention from PHP, I guess. I'm assuming this is correct naming convention where function names are, I forget what this is called. Are this syntax. I thought snake case was with dashes, but it could be with underscores. And then instead we would put @ symbol and then the HTML. Oh, except that this would be a render fragment. My bad. You got sick working with WordPress. But essentially, you're just injecting the style tag somewhere so that the image will change for your logo. Or not injecting, but you're kind of putting it in a page somewhere. And then on every page load, I'm guessing this function gets called. Yeah, components and SPA do look pretty similar. Agreed. So I don't know. I think that would be acceptable practice. Unless there is a correct way of updating a WordPress logo. But yeah, then this thing just says on login enqueue scripts, add the login page function, login page logo function. So whenever this gets fired, this happens. I feel dirty. It works and the boss is happy. Hey, good job. I commend you and I support your decision. Okay, I need to fix this validation that says you can't have a posting date that is on the same day as your transaction date. That is incorrect. Where are my validators? I don't know where my validators are. Here's deposit ones. Wait, that's the test. Wait, we can get it from the test. Where's the validator? It's you. Okay, here's the deposit validator. Validator. Post to date. Rule for post to date. if it is greater than, or the rule is that it cannot be null and it must be greater than or equal to transaction date, which is correct. It is. This thing is telling me I just forgot the name of the site that we always go to. JSON grid. Oh my goodness. Total blank. Okay, so this one is telling us that the posted date must be on or after the deposit date for a deposit record. Error code greater than or equal to validator. Comparison validator is, oh, there's a time associated with the transaction date. Yeah, I love this one. Nerd Herder showed us this one, and I've been using it ever since. Yeah, so there, the transaction date saved in the database has a time component. And that got offset by the UTC value because I made a decision that I'm no longer storing date time in the data, or date transaction dates, posted dates, and one other type of date. I can't remember what the third date is, but those are just getting saved to the database as dates, not UTC. But at first, I was converting them to UTC and then saving it. And the only one that I needed to do that with was the date entered date. Date entered date. So instead, I am going to make a new rule. Actually, I'm going to keep this message with this rule. This message is going to be the posted date must not be empty. Cannot be, no, cannot be empty. Then we're going to have a rule for posted date dot date only. Oh no. Okay. So we're going to ignore this if posted date does not have a value because we're already taking care of that up here. But we're going to compare the posted date to the transaction date. Else date time.min value. Okay. So there we go. This works, right? this makes sure that we have a posted date. It's not allowed to be null. And this one here is skipped if posted date is null, because at that point, posted date does not have a value. So we'll always be at the largest value possible. And then the transaction date will be some date and time that cannot be larger than the largest value possible for date time. Yeah. Otherwise, if we do have a value, then we verify that the value's date is less than or equal to the transaction date's date. Which, of course, there should be another rule. Wait. When posted date is not null, then we check for this. What? I didn't even see this. So we don't even need this null check. And that means that we'll be guaranteed that posted date will have a value. I will guarantee it, says Thindle. And hello, Thindle. We're guaranteeing that posted date will have a value because we put this when rule or condition on this rule. So when posted date has value, can we do has value? Then we apply the rule that says the posted date dot date compared to the transaction date must be, the posted date must be greater than or equal to the transaction date, ignoring time. And good afternoon, good evening for you. Yeah, so a transaction view model validator is the base model validator for anything that is a transaction in the database or in the application, and that would be a transfer, or a deposit, or a payment. It looks a tiny bit unusable. Yes, Fluent Validator. Fluent Validation is what I'm using. Oh, tiny bit usable. I could read. Useful. But yes, this is using Fluent Validation, and it's just I have a base iTransaction data entry view model interface that says, here's all of the properties that a transaction will have. So what I planned on doing is having this inherited methods for the rules that can be set up. Yeah, so I would have something like protected void base rules, or setup add base rules. And so the plan is essentially to have a whole bunch of base validation that can be applied to every single thing that is an iTransaction, such as in a deposit entry view model. And then have all of the possible rules, like this posted date rule should apply to all of them. And so when I instantiate a new one of these, I just add base rules. Not instantiate, I guess when I instantiate a new deposit entry model validator, then I just add base rules. And even before that, I could do base, right? And that way, we just do colon base. We don't even have to do this. And then the only thing in here are all of my extra rules that are specific to deposits. And Amin is here. Amin, Amin, Amin. He gets his own theme music. All right, let's find out where the rest of these are because I'm assuming I have a similar issue. And now that I'm using a base constructor, I can just update them to the base constructor. Why does it look like I have two model validators for transfer? This is a transaction, that's why. Cool. The other thing is that now this thing needs to have the right word. Actually, you know what? This is just going to be transaction date. Don't even need to worry about trying to parse out the name of the class. Yay! And Thindle just got a shout out. So if you are not already following Thindle, who is working on some .NET conversion stuff or legacy applications to current technologies, he's going all the way back to the Stone Ages with .NET Framework. And he is making so much progress. It's really cool to watch. Definitely give him a follow. Still a little bit of time left. Click on the heart. I realize that I'm heading out to a customer's site tomorrow, but I need to head by the office to pick up my access card because I didn't bring it home. That was almost a tiny bit uncalled for. And live coding is here. Live coding, did you hear what happened on 2 community days ago? 2 Fridays ago? I feel super bad, and I'm confessing. Exactly. You heard nothing. And the reason you heard nothing is because I forgot to turn on the I forgot to tell OBS to output the Discord voice channel to the recording, to the VOD. So we have half a conversation and we didn't get to hear you. You're part of the conversation. Feels bad, man. I mean, we always have interesting topics when it's live coding. He just brings stuff up and it's awesome. And I love talking about those things. Okay, this is getting replaced with base. You're good to go. And transfer. I'm a bad person. It's all good because VODs are evidence. Yes. Integrity tells me that I need the evidence in order to keep myself in check. Okay. Anyway, we don't have any special rules for these yet. We'll fill that in as we get to it, but you can see definitely where we have a lot of benefit coming from having a base validator for the same type of object. You don't even need to have these in a separate method, but we'll do stuff like the posted date, the account, and the transaction date. Yeah, all of those will need to be valid. there's the famous essay about how about keeping personal data is bad. And the metaphor he uses is radioactive waste. So VODs are, in a sense, radioactive waste. And it's good that it was cleaned up. No worries. Julius has a random question. Has anyone made an account for Nick Chaps's website? I only see a login link, but no register anywhere. I don't know. I don't think so. I learned how to chat without edits in League of Legends all those years ago. Brain, hands, press enter immediately. Yes. Oh man. All of my stuff came from Lineage 2, where it was so laid back. You have time to type out an entire roleplay scene, hit enter, click on the next mob, start attacking. Oh, those were good days. True Zoomer life. Zoomer. Oh my goodness. Geriatric. Uh, wait, I guess, yeah. I don't know. That one's a hard one to come up with a name for. It means says pay to register. So he's saying, I'm literally trying to buy his courses. So yeah. Yeah, geriatric millennial or Gen X. I love that term. Okay, I think we did it. Let's go ahead and try to update the posted date of a deposit. 0106. And that one came back as success. If we refresh, then we have our save date. And if I try to delete, then there it goes. Success, F5. And so now it's still marked as pending. Yatta. So the other thing that I remember now that I did that, I guess two things. One, the table is still showing up on top of this position sticky nav bar thing at the top. But that's okay, because that's going to be fixed when we update the styling anyway. And the second was when we enter a new record, it's not immediately showing up down here. I'm going to try entering a record for, let's try 114. My new list item. Dax. Why is there a 1 in here? Sales tax. $23. I mean, 23 monetary units. Fee. Who knows? They just charge you for anything. 27 cents for a Colorado delivery fee on everything, no matter what it is. Colorado tax delivery. Anyway. Oh, this is supposed to be subtotal. I was like, why don't I see subtotal anywhere? Excuse me. Yeah, you're supposed to be subtotal. What exactly happened to you? It got updated on the 27th, which was Friday. I have to keep an eye on that. Okay, so subtotal was somewhere around 180 monetary units. Thanks for the lurk, Tyndall. I need to remember to move that. Move the what? Oh, the apostrophe. Move the apostrophe. It's Y apostrophe ALL, not YA apostrophe LL. Oh my goodness. We're so old. Oh, anyway. Dan gonna have to work for a bit, maybe a long bit. Stuff came up. Take care, everyone. Y'all are awesome. Sub totally dived and is now invisible. Dukasoft's apostrophe S sub. His sub. Old is not real. Old is real. Old doesn't necessarily mean incapable or whatever. It's relative, but it's real. Unless, everything. It's subjective, I guess. But everything is subjective. So like time. Time is not real, therefore old is not real, because in order for old, you must have time. Right? Right. Good answer. Post a date, not putting one. Primary checking. Go. Okay, so I just tried to edit a payment that was successful for 114, and it didn't refresh the transaction history right away. What if we add a new one for 127 a day after? Actually, you know what? I don't see the request to get the latest transaction history. So it's not going to work regardless. There is no go out and get the recently added transactions after submitting a new one. And that's why this isn't updating. Got it? Apostrophe Among Us. Celia says, to Amin. Amin said, I'm literally. I don't even see that message. Wait, no, Zulia said to Amin, way up here somewhere. Where's my control F? I don't have control F in this thing. I've lost the thread. Okay, I'm literally trying to buy his courses, so, and then Amin responded, or didn't respond. So this is just following up. It literally was that. The sign up form is hidden behind clicking on one of the courses themselves. Oh. Oh. And Owen Codes is here. Hello, Owen Codes. Like, ran into using SQL composite keys in Patrick God's course. How much do you use those in real world? First time I've ever seen one in EF course. So I was using one in DDMS when I was working at the previous job, and it was for the DB something or other table. I can't really remember, but I only used it as an alternate key, not as the primary key. I don't know why not using a auto-generated key. You know what I'm trying to say. I don't know why it would be better to use a composite key than an auto-generated key. I guess in the case of a one-to-many relationship, or many-to-many relationship, that intermediate table, if it's not exposed anywhere, it automatically gets a composite key. That is the foreign key from table 1 and the foreign key from table 2. But the only time that you would use a composite key, in my thought, that I can think of, is if you are 100% sure that you are not going to be altering the value for either part of the key. Using a composite key is more pure from the DB standpoint, but it's not worth it, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, try to join tables using EF core with a composite key using regular old lambda expressions. Yeah, we can talk about database key selection on a Friday chat because I'm fascinated by it and I think nobody else is. I am. I actually spent a really, really long time trying to decide what to use. Like in this job, in the Rocky Mountain Arsenal job, even, where it's like, what should I be selecting as the primary key and why? Another shout out for live coding. I wouldn't be bored though. Live coding streams on rare occasions, but it is so much fun when he does. The last time that I watched him stream, he was working on extracting keys from Gary's mod. Something. I don't really remember what it was about or like what the details are about it, but it had something to do with keys and Gary's mod. And I remember there being Gary learning animation. Learning animation. So, literally 4 hours of research and then fail. But it was so much fun. It was really cool to watch you do. And of course, just your banter. Your banter is top notch. It is top shelf addicting. Oh, did that update the line item type keys just now? It did not. So I don't know what the original thing was that updated this line item name to be subtotal. It's kind of odd. It even updated the sort order to be 0. So something must have saved the record with a line item foreign key. You know what it could be? It could be when I set the pending for this record, which is a payment, which also updates the transactions. You could see 7 records were affected from that one update. And so if we refresh, sure enough, we are affecting the line item records that are associated with the account. Good to know. We need to fix that. And that's because part of the payload has the full line item record. And when that gets turned into a entity model, then we're keeping all of our associated line item records. No, it's the line item type on the record. Never mind. That's got to be it. The line item types. Gotta be in the. Gotta be honest. Well, let's try this one first just to see what we're getting populated in the model that's getting sent. Right here. Payment details. Singular. Yeah, okay, so we're not taking the entire line item, lookup line item record when we're turning it into a view model, which is good. However, our to entity, when we're populating a transfer to payment, and going to entity model. Guys, remember, always write tests. That's your grandpa talking. So listen. I will keep my mouth shut on this because I'm being bad. Here it is. Okay. You are not value. You are a line. Oh. Interesting. Which is really weird though, because I'm telling it to not include navigation properties and it should be setting it to null bang. I mean, by default here, you can see that it's include navigation properties equals true, but the actual line item type record should not be populated unless this is true. And when I'm to entity modeling it for a new payment record, so when I do, not new, when I do an update, to entity model, we're not even to entity model anything. No, must resist the check. Wait. Null bang. Must admit I did not write test for my PHP function. Bad, Dickasoft. Bad. Grandpa is not happy. Says, I mean, no. No bang. Must resist the joke. Mom joke? She bangs. Deary me. Oh, deary. Okay. This existing record dot patch is probably where it's happening. We're gonna have to step through that. There's a thing. that I'm missing? I'm sure it's obvious. I'm sure it's somewhere. There's a thing. Payment to entity model. Yes. Right here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm missing something. What am I missing? Okay, Dukasoft, I'll be here. I've lost the thread and I'm having trouble picking it back up. It's on save of the update record. So when we look at the database record again, we'll see that the two items that are in the transaction that I changed the pending for got updated, and they should be, I don't know, subtotal one word or two. One word. And this is just tax. And this is 1 and 2. Right. Right. You need a sort order. Defaulted to 0. We'll populate that in our 2 entity model. Cripes, it's so hard to find things. Oh, cripes. Crepes. Guns forgot a comma, and you are not nullable. Okay. So when we're updating a record, we're querying for the existing record, and what might be happening is I am not then including the line item type transaction. So I have a false on here. That's step 1. So as we're following this, let's assume it's a payment record, and we have this is false. We set up our transaction that everything has. So any type of transaction, payment, deposit, or transfer have all of these properties. They get populated here. You can see that the account navigation property will only get populated if this is true. In this case, it's false, so we will not populate that one. We're on payment. So if this is true, then we'll populate payee, but it's not. So we will not populate payee. We will populate payment details every time, passing in the whether we will populate any navigation properties with it. And Juan Van made it today. I said Juan Van. Yeah, so by the time we get here, include navigation properties, we are not populating the line item type. So this is the last bit of it. And we see that we aren't updating this navigation property at all. So we shouldn't be saving the line item type for record or modifying it or anything. But we're not even, that's for add new transaction. We're on update. We're on update. We're on update, kids. Okay, so transaction query must include payment details, then include line item type. Okay, maybe this is what's breaking it. But welcome in, Fun. I hope you're having a fantastic Monday, start of most people's week. Okay, so if we find that record and then we patch the record, I'm assuming this is where I am updating the line item types. Ah. I think this might be it. So when we're updating the line item types, we're also trying to update the navigation properties. And we don't want to. We don't want to update the line item itself. I mean, we want to update the line item itself, but not the line item type. I didn't know I had it to do there. So let's see if that fixes our issue. The issue for those of you that just joined is that as I'm updating records, the lookup table is being affected for the record that I am updating. So that change should have fixed it. So this here is a payment record. I'm gonna update the posted date to be 01. Make sure that the same day works. According to this, the record saved successfully, and we did not modify the line item types this time. Like a magic. Even if we delete, refresh, even if we delete. Okay. So that's magical. So the only thing left for us to do with this current branch is when we enter a new, wait, maybe that's its own branch. Let's find out. That might have been it for this branch. So I'm heading on over to the project on GitHub, where it is open source and available to any of you that want to look at it or do anything with it. It's nothing fancy, nothing major. Transaction history does not refresh, so it's a bug. Therefore, the toggle pending from transaction history is done. The other thing that I want to test then, because I don't have tests written, is when we try to put in a date before, we should get back an error. Do we want, that's going to be a hard one. Do we want to have that be part of this branch? We did get back an error, but we're not displaying any kind of message indicating that it was unsuccessful. It would make sense that it's part of this branch because it's part of the functionality for toggling pending. So yes, I would say we need to fix that. There was a warning on the decimals when you do update database. Me? When? Like maybe from the initial database creation? Yes? Okay, so that got fixed. What happened was when I initially put in the monetary values for the what? The transaction table? No. Specifically the payments table. Specifically the transfers table. I had put them in as floats. And in a couple streams ago, we changed them over to decimals. And so when it's going through the update database, it's doing every migration in order. So when it had the float, and then we're changing it to a decimal with 2 after the decimal place, then it's going to say we might be truncating some numbers from existing values. So yeah, that warning is kind of expected. What do the entries look like now? They look like 2 decimal place values. And I've only been putting whole numbers, which is terrible. Do I have anything with payment details? I keep expanding it first. Yeah, here. Okay. So this would have said something like 222229 previously, or 2999, something. Anyway, but now it just goes to 2 decimal places. We don't have to worry about that floating point issue with the fraction of a penny that gets lost in wherever. Hey, that's helpful. And that is not helpful. The Office Space penny. Wait. Oh, no, these are fine. I thought that some more updates happened that should not have happened, but they're okay. We're good. We are okay. So yeah, that's an expected message that you'll get with the migrations, but I guess, well, no, I don't want to change that. So now that I have a posted open source version, I am not going to restart the migrations from scratch because then your database, if you've already cloned the project and run update database, then your database would be out of sync because the migration would start over from scratch and your __ EF migrations table would no longer be valid. So this table here. And the only way to fix that would be to delete all of those and then rerun migrations and delete all of your tables. And I don't want to do that. So we'll just keep our migrations intact and just update them from here. But knowing that there's a message that you get every time that you update from scratch, that makes it seem like there's an issue. With that attitude, this will never be accepted by banks. Oh. Okay, so we're good to go here. The main thing that I want to add now, so I'll check in this work, but the main thing that I want to add is indicating that there was an error during one of the updates for X reason. Question is, how do we want to display those? The message is a floating point precision message, or yeah, it's a warning message when you do update database. When you apply the migrations from 0, because we made that change where it used to be a float and now it's a decimal, because in my model it was a double and now it's just a decimal. Thank you, Live Coding, for the recommendation to change that. I'm glad I did. We love to point numbers. No. Okay, so these can go away. Chicken. I want some chicken. I had a chicken. I had a what I would call a $10 sandwich yesterday. It had chicken, ham, pepperoni, mayo, and we have this boar's head dressing thing. It's like a vinaigrette, or not a vinaigrette, an oil that you can put on sandwiches or salads or whatever, and it's so good. It elevated it. Dukasoft is pointing to numbers. Don't use floats unless it's scientific. That's a good suggestion. I'll try to keep that in mind. No guarantees. I might need to be reminded often. Anytime you see me trying to just use double for a monetary value or something that only needs 2 decimal places, just kind of remind me. And even then, there were some really, really good suggestions that came up that it sounds like banks do by default anyway, which is to not use decimal numbers. They use whole numbers for everything, like how many cents or whatever the smallest unit of money is for that currency. And then life coding is adding, I forgot to mention that any calculation against money should be rounded intentionally. For example, $1 divided by 3 plus $1 times tax should be rounded in the grand total anyway. So you only round once at the very end. Cool. And Dukasoft is saying I use the, what is that called? Data annotation of column type equals decimal 18.2. So 18 numbers before the period, 2 numbers after the period. Oh, that was just an example. Okay, so for my app, I always round after the grand total kind of thing. So the point was intentionally, it's hard to say exactly when to round, just know when it happens. It gets weird. Is an app description of money calculations. Yeah, I mean, this one isn't going to need to be super duper robust since it's just us entering stuff. We're not calculating prices of anything. This isn't an ERP or anything. It's just put in your transactions and then it calculates the sum of all of your transactions over time. Zulia is saying, I mean, the decimal type was implemented specifically for financial needs, as far as I know. That's what it sounded like. I can't verify that, but it sounds right. Money floats out the window. Yes, Dukasoft. Absolutely. Goodbye. Actually, my money just kind of goes to the bank. Sits there. Clear that message. Okay. What do? We added logic for updating the posted. Oh, I guess one thing that I want as part of this is finally changing the name of this pending column. And we're going to call it posted date column. What is he doing? Oh no. Okay. Column name. Here we are. Oh no. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. I made a poor choice when it comes to maintaining code, especially code that needs to be localized. So this name here is a hard-coded string that is intended to be used as the display text for a column header. And that column header needs to be localized, so you have a few options. Make this the key for the localization dictionary. Localize this during the extension method, which I do, or don't use the extension method at all and just put in the actual columns that you intend to put in here. The thing is, I didn't want to have to keep redoing this. And now that I think of it, all of this code here that has to do with am I sorting or not could just be one component. So here, or maybe two. Here's a sort direction component, and here is a filter component that goes on every header. And then we just point it to the actual value that, or the column name. But whatever. Ooh, live coding says I got curious and it turns out I was wrong as YM is the letter for decimal. However, I will not change my mind. M equals money type. I'm going to stick with you on that. It's just easier to remember. I'm going to click on the link in a second. Dugazov said M would be money for me as well. Agreed. Decimal suffix capital M lowercase m since D capital D lowercase d was already taken for double. Although it has been suggested that M stands for money, Peter Gold recalls that M was chosen simply as the next best letter in decimal. So that sounds to me like VB6 desktop development. You know how you were, for those of you that have done it or have done any kind of desktop development that has accelerator keys or what else are they called? Accessor keys, where you do ampersand and then the word or the part of the word that you want to have as your accelerator key. You just pick the next best one. F for file, E for edit, V for view, W for window. And then once you add more menus and you've already used letters, then you start using alternate letters. So let's say you have entry as a menu item, then N is your next best letter. And one says, I'm working in VB6 right now. Oh my gosh. My condolences, Cecilius. That's terrible. So Y and S, Y for byte, S for short. dropped on the grounds of not being very useful. Send beer. Yeah, could be worse. Could be PHP. Could be Perl. Okay, anyway, I changed the column header in the transaction grid to say posted date because this really is just going to be whether it's pending or not. Oh no. The dismiss button works, but the only thing it dismisses is the X. We'll fix that too. But first, let's go ahead and check in. What all did we change? Did we like fully implement it in this one, whatever this is called, commit? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure we've committed at least once before. Yes, split transaction history rows into their own components, updated the way view models get turned into entity models in transaction operations. And finally, we added logic for updating the posted date. I guess added UI to update the posted date for a record in the transaction history grid. Then we added logic for updating the posted date or updating a transaction record. We updated the logic for updating a transaction record. What I need to do from now on, before I push the commit button, is I need to proofread these because I am a little bit too often lately, at minimum, putting te for every the, or udpated, or just one small typo. And I don't feel like amending the commit message just to fix a typo like that. Instead, I'm just going to be more careful in the future. That said, did I screw up any of these words? I don't think so. Why can't I see this, please? I want this to always be showing. Okay, thanks. Squish. There you go. Tech commit message was rejected. Juan Van says, Eck, I went from ASP to pitch to F, and I hated both. I liked ASP. ASP, like classic ASP with the inline angle bracket percent. Here's some code. Unless angle bracket percent was only JSP. I don't remember. Maybe, yeah, and Thindle is lurking. But maybe ASP Classic web pages only had the code behind file, and there was no inline C#. No way to toggle between inline C# and HTML. I don't remember. It's been a long time. Yeah, I'm committing this. There it goes. So the thing that I said we're going to fix is adding a message. Let's just see if any of these work. We're going to add a message for when an update fails. Hello, ADG. How can I do a model with list of another object? I get an error. Are you talking specifically about using Entity Framework for database purposes or just in general? You have one object that you want to have a list of another object. Yes, to both. Camera 1 or camera 2? Okay, using entity frameworks. So that's called a one-to-many relationship usually. And the way that you set that up is by using navigation properties. So one object is one entity. For example, I have a thing called payment. Actually, let me show the model for it. Tables, payment. So one payment record can have many payment details records. And one payment detail record belongs to one and only one payment record. So this is my object that has a list of other objects. So that's the way that you denote that in Entity Framework is by using this public virtual, some kind of collection. It doesn't have to be an I collection, but I like to use I collection because it's pretty lightweight. And then payment detail, payment details. This last bit here is just to help with any of your debugging, not debugging, but whenever you won't have to worry about this thing being null when you're trying to do queries on it, is what I'm trying to say. So this equals new hash set is just a way of saying, even if there are no associated payment details, that property will not be null ever. So I can dot off of it and not get any errors in a query. So the syntax is public virtual I collection of that second object type. And then if you feel like it, equals new hash set of that second object type. And then for the other side of it, and I have an idea of one of the situations that you might run into that we'll have to think about. But the other side of it is that second object type will have a pointer to the first object type if you have both ways set up. If you don't have the other side, so that was the first case that I was getting to. So think of payment as your user. This is your user model. And then think of payment detail as your product. So a user will have an I collection of product, but your product will not have a user associated with it. Now, is it possible that your product could have multiple users associated with it? So one product with many users? Because that'll be treated differently than if you just don't put your user in your product. If you want your product to be associated with multiple users, then you would just also create a similar property on this side, I collection of users, and Entity Framework will associate, it will create for you that intermediary table, the many-to-many table. So you can get to your products for that user, and you can get to all users that have that product. So that's one thing. The other thing is, if you wanted to put your user so that only one product belongs to one user, but a user can have multiple products, then you would use this navigation property foreign key constraint. So this would be the same name as your variable as your property down here with the word ID after it. And it needs to be the same type as the primary key ID on that user object. So user.id would be user ID with a user record. And that way, whenever you have a new product, that product must have an associated user with it. Otherwise, Entity Framework will assume that if there's a relationship between user and product, and there isn't multiple products with multiple users, then it will assume that you want a user product ID matchup somehow. And you will get an error if that value is not populated when creating a new payment detail, new product. Jeez, words. Anyway, feel free to ask more questions. We have a Discord server where we are happy to answer questions like this. But if you want more clarification, just ask during the stream and I'll do my best to answer. And there is our Discord put up there by our magical bot, Dukasoft. Word, the most confusing part of language. Wording is hard. Oh, word good. Dukabot bot. No, Dukasoft is a real person. He is very, very cool, very amazing. Just goes out of his way to help. It's so nice. And you are never obligated to Dukasoft, but so very much appreciated. You're awesomely awesome. Okay, so let's get our error to show. Thankfully, when we do any kind of operation, such as in toggling pending, which is in a row, in a one specific row. Are you not in use? You're not in use. I'm a real boy. And Avidus came in. Sorry, Avidus. I didn't mean to completely ignore that you came in. Avidus is here. I didn't know he was real. Have you met him? Could be an AI. I would still call him real. He's past the why can't I think of the name of the test? Oh, and thanks so much for the follow. Really appreciate it. I hope we are a good community for you and helpful and friendly. Turing, thank you. The Turing test. Man, coming out of Lurk just to help me out. Even more coolness. Jeez. Thank you. Okay, we need to get to a transaction history row. Oh, basic transaction row. When we toggle pending, here we have the update transaction. This is all secret. Maybe I can cover it somehow. No, it moved. It's all secret. Archived forever in Twitch chat and YouTube video and I'm starting with .NET and I can train my English here. Absolutely. Yeah. We definitely don't have an issue with if you don't spell everything correctly and if you don't use the 100% correct grammar. But if you are looking for help with keeping on track with that, we'd be happy to just let you know. HVM is 2,500 a month, but we scaled up from 2 to 4 temporarily during our migration, and I'm getting us down to 1. So alleged savings is actually $7,500 a month. 2,500 per VM that you are getting away from. Although alleged savings is 2,500 a month because it used to be 2 and it was only a temporary 4. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep track of the current response. Private response model of, I don't even know what this thing gives back. Int. Response model base of the int. Current response, which can be null. We're going to set that equal to these two. And this needs to be protected so that the inheriting class can, or the extending class, I guess, can have access to it. Why did that break? Why are you suddenly talking about flyout? Flyout has nothing to do with what we just touched. So Zulius is saying to live coding, that means you now have budget room to upgrade that one VM to 10K tier. That is true. I like to think I get to pocket all the savings directly, even though I don't. It's a fun job in cloud ops to share war stories about how we found all this super old, super inefficient infrastructure and made it so much cheaper and don't get to keep any of the money or see any of it. That's only for the execs who signed the decision to go with your employee suggestion. That's terrible, but true. Okay. Why, oh why, does Harry meet Sally? Render row, render confirm, render enter. Man, there's so much chatter going on in the work product. Gosh. And now they're asking me directly. I've placed a code application for test. Where have you placed it? Where? So I told you guys that we're working with another team on incorporating some of the functionality from their app into ours, including their UI, which is written in Angular. They're turning it into HTML, custom HTML components, elements, custom elements, whatever it's called, going from Angular components to, you type angle bracket, the name of the thing, and then you can put it in whatever app as long as you load the JavaScript for it. Into our application. And so we just got a message saying that I've placed the code in in application for my team or the team that I'm on to test, we've not yet finished our testing, but they can grab and build it for their start of testing. Where's the application? I mean, yes, it's going to be in GitHub Enterprise, but where? In the existing proof of concept GitHub? In a new one on your guys' organization GitHub? Where? Where? So much detail. Angular Blazor integration POC. Updated 12 days ago. No, not there. Yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be somewhere on their organization's GitHub thing. So what did I break? This thing is telling me that my flyout and my modal now have errors. Why? We made changes to a base transaction row code behind. And now my modal and flyout components are broken. That makes perfect sense. How about if we do a real build? Control C. Do a real build. See if these are real errors. They're not real errors. I mean, they're missing they're missing XML comments. What is that build progress? I don't know. So I think it's always been there. It just shows up as a new tab. And I picked it up and put it, where did I put it? I put it here. And then I just kind of squished it down. So I think it's just a build tab that opens up when you build normally. And if you have a build that takes a long time, you might have enough time to move it to there. You go over here, close this. So if I do build, if I do rebuild, that should give me enough time to move it around. So I think it usually showed up here, or maybe at the bottom only. Whoops. I like having it here. And of course, now it's probably not going to build at all. Are you stuck on the Maui project? Actually, I don't think the Maui project is part of the build. It is. It is. Oh my gosh. I'm surprised that didn't take even longer. But anyway, um, back to EU, and we saw that it launched without any actual errors. Error not found. This is very true. No errors whatsoever. Okay. What did I say was the issue? When trying to set a date prior to the transaction date. That's the one that we can make happen. Okay, so instead of actually setting the pending, because we know that the posted date didn't actually get set. I didn't mean to say pending, I meant posted date. We need to display a message instead. And instead of actually getting rid of the dialog, crap, we need to display the message in the dialog that says posted date must be on or after the transaction date. And here's the transaction date. And here's a red outline on your posted date. Okay, and that's going to be part of this render confirm. No, render enter posted date that we now have access to because we have a underscore error. So if underscore current response question mark was error false, so it would be null if we haven't done any kind of submit, any kind of post, and it would be an error if we did something bad. So the only error that we are expecting to happen here is specifically a validation error. However, there is a possibility that, let's say the user loses internet connection or the database explodes or whatever, then another error could just be we weren't able to save the record because fires and stuff. So it won't always be a validation error. But one thing that we do know is we will always render out the current response. And the only time that we will add validation errors is if the validation failures any. And we might do this in the code behind to make it cleaner, to make the UI a little bit cleaner. Not that this UI is any clean because we're doing a whole bunch of Blazor properties in a code block as our HTML. Thank you so much to whoever followed. Hold on. My mobile studio is over there, and that has all of my what is it called? Dashboard stuff. But anyway, it looks like Do AI Wave Shaper, I think, or just Do I? I'm assuming it's Do AI. This bot up here is AI generated image. Okay. We will have a span class error. What is it called? Ooh. Oh man. Holy cow. That just flew by. What are the classes that usually get put on validation errors? Validation error. And we know that the only validation error that can happen as a part of this request is the one that is for posted date. So we're still gonna find it anyway. Posted date val message equals current response validation failures first or default dot property name of transaction dot posted date. Yay! Perfect timing, Big Amy. So I'm almost done with my day with the stream, but it's good to see you. I've been hanging out on your stream with I Am a Dog lately. It's been so much fun. I do kind of have to mute you more often because all of your sound alerts, but it's still a great stream. It's still very much fun times. And when I'm not in the throes of some deep thought, I turn you up and just hang out with you. And there's the error message. Okay, so this should show up, except one quick thing to do before I go so I don't forget, which is if we do encounter an error, down here, our pre-posted or pre-posted should be empty. Pre-posted should be an empty date because that will be null, and we are checking for transaction date, posted date not has value down here, so it'd be empty. Hello, keyboard. My keyboard died. Um, okay, so if, yeah, dang it. Show posted entry date equals not current response was error. So we want to make sure that the dialog window stays showing unless it was a successful post. Perfect timing would be here when you start. What I meant was your yay was perfect timing because I had just finished putting in the logic for this thing that I wanted to do, except for this one small piece. So even more perfect timing would have been as soon as I did this. Okay, so let's give it a shot. If I try putting this as 01, I don't know, someday before the 13th. No, it's still dismissed. It wasn't supposed to dismiss. This thing should have given me an error, a validation failure. Ooh, and the property name is postedDate.value.date. Ooh, that's going to be an issue, and I know why that's happening too. Great. So we're going to have to come back to our model validator, transaction model validator. update. Oh, and can't we just do with name? Name of posted date. Okay, so this should fix that issue. Or name of crap. transaction view model. Oh, there's always just that one more thing that I want to get done right before the end of the stream, and I'm just going to keep going. The baby redeem is broken after SnapCam pulled all their filters. I'm going to fix it by next stream, though. Or you could just leave it not fixed for my sake.
Let's go.
Ubisoft would be sad. Super duper sad. Okay, we'll just try this, and if it doesn't work, no, I don't. Thanks for asking, though. Dang it. Okay, still didn't get the actual validation information. Let's not do what One Lion suggests. But did this thing at least give me the right name? No. No, it didn't. Oh. I don't know. Here's our to-do. Make sure the... Yeah. Thank you. That was perfect. Make sure the property name associated with the validation error is just posted date. It is showing up as posted date value date. Today. Okay, so we'll fix that. And then the other thing that we will fix is make sure the dialog remains showing if there was an error. Oh, I'm backwards. That's why. What is Okay, so that's going to be it for my stream for the day. Thank you all super duper so very much for being here, for hanging out with me, for just being amazing people in general. It is way over 9,000. We're going to head on over to a friend of the streams, I guess. He doesn't know it, but we do. We're going to head over to Red Cabin Games. Red Cabin Games. Why already? Because I'm on a schedule. You know my schedule. The text is hiding. Oh, yeah. That's a thing now. Okay, I'll fix this scene. Because I put the AI image inside of the Twitch stuff on accident, but I'll fix that later. Again, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back again on Wednesday. I normally post my VODs to YouTube sometime after 24 hours after I end the stream. And again, for those of you that were new here and want to hang out with our community, we exist over on the Discord that Dukasoft has posted above. And the other thing that I usually say is follow everyone, follow BitGamey. Yes, but there's usually 3 things. Whatever. I'll be back again on Wednesday. Same time, 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time, UTC -7. Ciao for now. See you on the laters. Gotta keep waving till I make the camera disappear.